Hello and welcome to another video on the fundamental math, especially to update my existing knowledge and be able to communicate this on English. So today's video, we're going to take a quick recap over the math fundamentals from the arithmetic and how arithmetic and algebra works together. What actually is the meaning of those words, and from there we can now make much more sense, especially when you need to do something, especially on the mathematical field. So this is just to have context. Very important, especially when you have to deal with this kind of problems. Not only to know how to do that and combine that with the coding skills, which is another tool set. All right, so here what I'm doing is just improving and polish my tools, my mathematical tool sets, and I will combine that with the computer mathematical, the computer science, the software engineering toolkits to solve someone else's problems and do that fast as possible, which is something that, especially when you start a new business or when you start something, being good at whatever thing you are doing, being excellent at whatever be excellent at whatever thing you're doing. So dedicate the time and attention to that, and then on the line, the external reward will come. But again, you have to do that work. In any case, that's the reason why I'm doing this. Okay, that's a long-term game. Now, so here, okay, this course from the brilliant.org, especially the problem solving essentials, okay, to discover the fundamental of mathematical, no, I think is this, exactly, it's not this, it's in fact is this, mathematical fundamentals. So the first topic was generalize, and this course, brilliant.org, is made by so this was founded in 2012 by the co-founder, by the CEO and co-founder Sue King. Okay, so it presents this idea to attract venture capitalists like Chamath Palihapitiya. He previously worked as senior executive at Facebook in 2007, 2011, and then he in 2012 started a fund called Social Capital. So they rebrand that to something called Social Capital. So it's a company that so these funds invest in companies like Yammer and Slack. All right. So that huge overview, especially when you know where this learning platform, which is for profit, okay, a learning platform for profit, and where it comes from, a little bit of the background. So the thing here, or the first topic here, is generalize. So with generalize, and also these mathematical fundamentals, we're gonna learn tools for mastering algebra, algebra, logic, and number theory. So this tool set will help us vastly, especially when we need to understand and solve complex problems. So generalize is or this, as they say here, the algebra itself was never meant to be memorized. Okay, according to Prilan.org, because the mathematical concept or the math or the mathema, which is from the Greek mathema, uh, meaning is what one gets to know or which that is learned. And I love this definition because this is exactly, and this is something beautiful, that no matter who you are, as long as you are somewhat biologically capable, okay? Because there might some people that will, uh, will face some different challenges, or they have some disability that make it much more harder to do them. But as long as you have somewhat biological and cognitive conditions, you can do this. So mathema stands for that, and it is rare that in mathematics you solve a problem once and they never see one that are like it in again. Okay, this is according to them. So this course this course is all about learning to think like a mathematician. Meaning is that someone that learned, meaning that is someone that gets to know. Okay, and here is specific patterns and design. So we'll start by finding general insight for specific problems we solve. So that way we'll be ready when we need them again. But that's exactly what we're doing here. It's like looking at how can we think like a mathematician, and again, someone that from a specific problem can make generalizations. And recently here, the lesson that we're going to look is, we'll be looking patterns in arithmetic at the beginning here. So we'll be looking at patterns at the arithmetic. Arithmetic, another Greek word from arithmos or arithmetic tech, is it can translate into the art of counting. So this art of counting, it involves is numbers, okay, and operations on numbers, such as addition, subtractions, multiplications, and divisions. Cool. So this generalization, okay. So by looking patterns in the arithmetic, we're gonna turn those patterns into general principles we can represent with algebra. And algebra, after all, is this representation of these general principles based on specific problems. And that's the beauty of algebra. I would like to know the terms of algebra. Algebra. Etymology. Etymology. It is interesting because it comes from the Arabic word. It's like the reunion of broken parts. Bone setting. The surgical treatment of fractures probably came via Spanish. Jabara, reunite, restore. Jabara algebra, the reunion of broken parts. And from medieval, let me take a look at this. Algebra, translation, reunion of broken parts or bone settings. It is the study of variables and rules for manipulating these variables in formulas. Originating in ancient Babylon techniques of calculations, but after all is that you're going to learn is a technique. It is now a way of thinking that appears throughout almost all areas of mathematics. Elementary algebra deals with the manipulation of variables, commonly represented by Roman letters, as if they were numbers, as if therefore essentially an application of mathematics. Higher or abstract algebra, which professional mathematics typically just call algebra, is a study of algebraic structure. Oh shit. That generalize the operations familiar from ordinary arithmetic. For example, a group is a set of binary operations, a rule for combining two members of the set to produce a third, which satisfy some of the same basic property as addition of integers. But in any case, the word algebra comes from the title of a book by Muhammad ibn Musa al-Warismi. It's a Persian polymath. Who produced vastly influenced Arabic language works in mathematics, astronomy, and geography. Hailing from Hawaraz, he was appointed as the astronomer and head of the House of Wisdom. Head of the House of Wisdom in the city of Baghdad around 820. His popularized treatise on algebra compiles between 1813 and 1833. The companion book of calculation by completion and balancing present the first systematic solution of linear and quadratic equations. But again, the whole point of this, okay, al-Warismi. So the whole point of this So the whole point of this algorist versus abacist, depicted in a sketch from 1508. Again, there are techniques. That's what happened. There is no one over the other. There is just a particular technique or strategy that conducts to faster outcomes, to better outcomes, or to the desired outcome. So this is part of the beauty of this, and with astronomy here, Latin translation of algorithm, trigonometry and geography. A Soviet post-age stamp issue here. Yeah, damn it. So the thing here, exactly. So the thing here is that, or the reason of looking at this generalized concept is that here we were able to first understand that in mathematics it is rare that in mathematics you will solve a problem once. And when you talk mathematics, which comes from the Greek word mathema or mathematic, which is what one gets to know, that which is learned. Okay, so it is rare that from that which is learned, it is rare that one what ones get to know you solve a problem, you know, it is rare that once you it is rare that once it is rare that once what one gets to know to solve a problem once, you never see one like it again. And this is something beautiful in mathematics, you know. uh, so it can be quite confusing here, all right, but the whole point of this is that it is rare that in mathematics, or which which I which I learn, okay. So it is rare that in mathematics, what one gets to know to solve a problem, you do that once and you never see that again. So we're talking about here patterns, and I'm doing this because as a way to improve also my communication skills, and then down the line is to be able to solve someone else's problems. But I want to recognize is the source of this, especially on the math. Okay, uh, so with this statement, okay. So after I look at the brilliant.org who made that, the reason why I'm looking here is to get and understand the values. So what are the strategies and techniques that I'm going to learn from this course, which is the arithmetic, particularly algebra, logic, and number theory, and how can we apply those not only to coding challenge or someone else's problem, but also to our own problems. Okay, so I started to think like a mathematician, which is starting to think like what one gets to know when face a problem. You will quickly realize that it is rare that you solve that once. A good example of that is like if you if for example there is no light in your house, once you find what went wrong, it is very rare that you first forget about it, and second, when that happens, you don't know what to do. So the whole point of this, okay, is that once you get to know something, okay, or once one gets to know something, it is rare, especially when you solve a problem, that that you do that once. So it is rare that one it is rare that one it is rare that what one gets to know to solve a problem, you do that once. So it is rare that what one gets to know. It is rare. Yeah, it is rare that what one gets to know to solve a problem, you do that once. Okay, it is very rare. So it is rare that what one gets to know to solve a problem, you do that once. You do that once. So this what it's describing here is that Even in your life, you're gonna see patterns that repeat itself over and over and over and over and over. Uh, and if you're able to solve them and learn from that, so you can now then solve someone else's problems that are similar to them, that is something valuable. So the result, the outcome from that is it, it can be exponential. And especially if you share that for that. So this course is all about learning to think like a mathematician. Okay? So this particular section of the mathematical, that's the end goal of this. So that's the value proposition here. So the value proposition, okay, from the math fundamentals. Value proposition is learn to think like a mathematician. Okay, so learn to think like a mathematician. So we'll start by finding. So learn to think like a mathematician, and learn to think like a mathematician. Learn to understand the. Learn to understand toolkits. Learn to understand toolkits that will allow us to solve real life problems. That's real life problem, like counting or arithmetic, generalize generalization, so algebra, okay, so like countings and generalization. Learn to understand basic toolkits that will allow us to solve real life problems like counting and generalization. So this is the value proposition of this course. Okay, it's like, yeah, I'm gonna think like a mathematician, but because the value that I'm gonna get here is this practical tools, basic practical tools to solve real life problems like counting or generalize. Okay, so with now this, okay, uh, I also look at one particular way of how you can learn from brilliant that or, okay, to solve a specific or to start to think like a mathematician, start to think, to start to look at this pattern, which is something that is inherent in all of us. Okay, some of us are able to describe that, others that do that natural, they're not that good when it comes to communicate, to express that. So the whole point of this is, well, understand that, reinforce that, and when it comes to have to solve this kind of problems, it's like, okay, when you started to see these particular patterns, it's like, okay, patterns to or to real life problems. So counting, one of them, arithmetic, generalizations, and see how can we do that. Okay, how can we represent these generalizations based on patterns that we look in numbers that can be represented using algebra. So for example, it's like All men are bad. All women are bad. They're whores. You're like, really? There might be a pattern, but not all of them are like that. Okay? And the pattern is giving a specific conditions, giving a specific interactions. So that's one of the things that, you like it or not, we always do generalization, or we always do this kind of uh, prejudge, okay? But it's based on something. It's based on our perception, and our perception can be flawed or not. But even though we uh, we tend to do that in order to survive, pretty basic. So because I say this, okay, so saying this, all right, especially this kind of thing, to describe about the mathematics, understand what the what is the etymology of mathematic. This comes from the Greek word for mathema, in which can be translated to what one gets to know. And especially here, by looking at the first sections from the brilliant.org, mathematical fundamental is to, hey, we will give you is now tools, visualizations, in a particular process, so you can see how you can start to think like a mathematician. Okay, because it is rare in mathematics, or it is rare that what once you get to know something to solve a problem, that happen only once in your life. Okay, something like that. So it is rare that once that what one gets to know what one gets to know, uh, how to solve a problem. Okay, it is rare that one will get to know how to solve a problem. That happened only one in your life. Okay, it's very rare. Exactly, it's very rare that one gets to know how to solve a problem. Uh, that happens only once in your life. You know what I mean? There is this. And this is something that it can summarize as this particular phrase. Mm-hmm. No. Mm, problem, problem solving. It is rare. Exactly. It is rare that ones get to know how to solve a problem. That happens only once in your life. Know how to solve a problem. That happens only once in your life. So mathematics is that. So if you replace what that one gets to know with mathematics, is this, okay? So it is rare that one gets to know how to solve a problem. That happens only once in your life. Yep. Okay. Okay. So why am I doing this? Because this is also a way to uh, get this, practice the writing skills and also my communication skills. And when it comes to describe something, it's like, oh, okay, this is it. So this is now uh, the so how you can describe is the mathematics, okay? Or how you can try to sell the idea of mathematics. Because after all, what this was what I'm doing, okay? So what I'm doing is just to sell the idea of the mathematics, and I sell that to myself, okay? Now, the end goal of this is to not only be able to understand this concept, but what is the value that I'm gonna get from this? And here, because it is very rare that once you know how to solve, once you know, once it is rare that one gets to know. It is rare that it is rare that once one it is rare that one gets to know. I would like to also translate this to actually proofread the following text. What? Proofread the following text. It is rare that once get to know how to solve a problem. It is rare that one gets to know how to solve a problem that happens only once in their life. It happens only once in your life. That happens. No, in your life, exactly. Because this is what I want. So because it is rare that once you get to know how to solve a problem, that it is rare that one gets to know how to solve a problem. It happened only once in your life. So because of this, so an example of this is so anytime you wake up, okay, and you have to brush your teeth, it's like I need to do that in a particular way because it is very time consuming. So if I develop a technique, okay, I might be able to do that not only fast but also have time to do other stuff, other things. Cool. Because with that mindset, okay, and with that approach, understand how mathematicians works by looking in this particular course, in this context, is like, so by looking this specific patterns uh, on numbers, the arithmetics, see how can we extract some general principles based on specific problems using algebra. So I look using these visualizations. How can we now, for example, giving a particular problem like the sum of the first n odd numbers, okay, or what is the sum of the n even numbers? So with that, now you can is create generalizations to solve this particular problem. And again, these generalizations works for this specific problems. And that's the reason why we have, for example, an algebra with a huge amount of um, tools or huge amounts of formulas like that, because each one of those formulas are capable to give you the outcomes, but in a given specific or for a given specific problem. So let's say uh, so it is funny because you don't need to memorize that, because algebra was never meant to be memorized. It was it was so the whole point of the mathematics is to allow you to just enhance and augmentate your inner capability that you have as a kid. When you look patterns and you ask questions, it's just to enhance that skills so you can now solve not only your own problems but also more complex problems. Okay, so the TLDR of this course, okay, is to now know what is the formula, all right, or what is this generalization using algebra to describe that when it comes to this, when it comes to find the sum of the first in odd numbers or even numbers. So which is great. That was very, 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 very interesting. And the visualization that we use here, it comes from the geometry. Okay, it was very, very interesting. Okay, so when you're giving such a question like this, exactly. So when you're giving question, even if you know how to find the answer, you should stop asking yourself, can I see some unusual patterns here? Will this pattern hold for other similar for whole similar problems? How can I prove it? This practice of trying to generalize a lessons you learn is the core of mathematics. So the value proposition here, okay, from the mathematic, okay, according to brilliant.org, the math fundamentals, value proposition, learn to think like a mathematician. Okay. Yeah, this is the value proposition. Value proposition, generalize. Okay. Value proposition of generalize. Okay. And then we got is the value proposition of mathematics. So the value proposition mathematics. Okay. So the value proposition of mathematics is in this case is math fundamentals from brilliant.org. Okay, is this value proposition of math fundamentals. Okay, invalid proposition of mathematics. Okay, invalid proposition from mathematics. Completely. There you get it, right? So the value proposition here, mathematics, value proposition, according to brilliant.org, okay, is that the practice of trying to generalize a lesson you learn, exactly, the practice of trying to generalize a lesson you learn is the core of mathematics. Okay, math is all about understanding why patterns arise. So math is all about understanding why patterns arise. So this is the value proposition. So why patterns arise? Exactly. So this is the value proposition of the mathematic, and the other is the value proposition of the mathematical fundamentals. And with this, it's like okay. So things starting to makes a lot of sense. All right. So from this, okay, which is something that it took me like an hour or less than an hour to actually understand what is the value proposition from brilliant.org, especially from the mathematical fundamentals, okay, which is provide you tools. Uh, eh, yeah, so it learn to think like a mathematician, okay, and understand basic tool set. It's like a role. You can think of like mathematician like some LOL, League of Legends or Counter Strike role. You're a Fortnite role, okay? It's like a role. You can think of this like a game. You are the mathematicians or you are the magicians, that kind of thing. So this so the value proposition of the math fundamental from brilliant.org is that it's like learn to think like a mathematician, learn to think like this role, okay, and learn to use the basic spell, the basics toolkit that allows to solve real life problems like counting and generalization. So counting from arithmetic and generalization using algebra. So learn to think like a mathematician. Okay? A mathematician similar like a role game. Similar, think of this as exactly. Think of this as, yeah, learn to think like a mathematician. Think of this as any role in game. Okay? So learn to think like a mathematician. A role in League of Legends or Fortnite. Okay? Fortnite. Come on. Fortnite. I think it says Fortnite. I think you wrote it, yeah. A role, like a role, in LOL or Fortnite, right? Learn to think like a mathematician, like a role in LOL or Fortnite, right? Because it's this. So learn to think like a mathematician. And use basic spell or toolkits to solve real life problems. Yeah, to solve real life problems, to solve real life problems like counting and generalization. So arithmetic and algebra. Okay? Use basic spell or toolkits. Yeah, use basic spells to solve real life problems. The number theory. So this is the value proposition from this. This is the value proposition of this course. And again, I'm gonna do this anytime. Daily post, problem solving, and this is the math fundamentals from brilliant.org. You're gonna see this math fundamental. You're gonna get it exact. Oh, for fuck's sake, no. Yeah. Okay. So math fundamentals from brilliant.org. Value proposition. Learn to think like a mathematician, like a role in LOL or Fortnite. Use basic spells to solve real life problems like counting or generalization. But that's what it is. It's like, this is pretty much what it is. It's pretty much what it is. Again, this is from the Mathematical Fundamental, the Brilliant course. Okay? Now, from the Mathematician, okay, from the Mathematic, is like the value proposition here is that think in terms of patterns. Okay? Because mathematics is the practice, is all about understanding why patterns arise. Okay? It's like why patterns arise. It's like why patterns arise. Wait, what? That's not. Anyway. So, very, very, very important. So mathematics, a mathematician. Mathematician. Value proposition. Se lo demo- Exactly. So is this math is all about understanding that the practice of trying to generalize a lesson you learn is the core of mathematics. So the oh come on. So the practice of generalize. Okay. So the practice of of trying come on. So the practice of trying to generalize a lesson, okay? So the practice of trying to generalize a lesson, the practice of trying to generalize a lesson uh, you learn, you learn the practice of trying generalize a lesson you learn is all about is all about is all about really why not? What's wrong? Okay. So the practice of generalize a lesson you learn is all about the core of mathematics. Is the you learn is all about the core of mathematics. Okay. So this practice of trying to generalize a lesson you learn is exact. So math is all about exactly. So math is all about understanding. Understanding. Yeah. So math is all about understanding why why this or why patterns. Exactly. So why patterns arise. In here now I can create is this one. The source brilliant.org. Summary. Summary from brilliant.org. Math fundamentals. Exactly, because people will say it's like, who the fuck? Math fundamentals. Generalize. Generalize. Math fundamentals. Generalize. Summary from Math fundamentals. Generalize. Summary from brilliant.org. Yeah, and I'm gonna add this. Math fundamentals, generalize. Summary from brilliant.org. Yeah, totally, man. Yeah. It's mathematician. Fundamental here. Yep, totally. Yep, totally. So yeah, that'll be all for this video. Take care. Bye bye.